Live everywhere else. That's excellent. Right. Okay. We are live across all my social media platforms. It's fantastic to have you joining us. It's Wednesday evening here in the UK, a cold and dark evening as you would expect, but we're going to make the best of it, and we're going to have a really, really interesting straight talking interview this evening. I've got a very special guest all the way from the USA. His name's Garrick Jones. I've recently been introduced to him by Lewis Senior from Equilibria. So I must say a huge thank you to Lewis, and we'll be talking about that as we go through this interview. However, a little bit about Garrick. Garrick is a larger than life, a massive character. I can't wait for you to meet him, actually. An ex-NFL player for the Houston Texans and many, many other teams, which he's going to tell us all about his journey and his career. Working on becoming an NFL, National Football League general manager, GM, so NFL GM. Also, he's worked with the States Developmental Football League and how he set that up and what he's working on at the moment. We're going to talk about his EColors because he's exactly the same as me on EColors. So we're both going to give each other a big hug when we do actually eventually meet. And of course, got to say big shouts to Lewis and all the Equilibria team I know that are going to be joining us as well. So without further ado, let's bring Garrick in. Here he is. Look at him, larger than life. How are you, Garrick?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You're the coolest dude in the room. I love you. Look, I've got a message straight away. And if you're going to put anything in the chat when you're watching the interview, guys, do please put your name if you haven't gone to streamyard.com/Facebook, and then we'll be able to see your name, because at the moment this is all I've got. Facebook user. Oh my God, I love Garrick. Okay, so we've got an early admission of love for you, Garrick. Are you all right with that?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Excellent. Well, first of all, mate, welcome. This is about as close as you're going to get to the UK at the moment. Right. But welcome to Straight Talking. Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's just great, mate. It's fantastic. It's great to meet so many like-minded people around the world, and that's going to become very, very apparent as we go through this. As we go through this together. But before we get going, you know me, a DJ, ex-DJ, bit of a background in this whole piece. Let's start with some music. What sort of music moves you, Garrick? What's the thing for you?
Man, for me, music has really been the center of my life. I mean, I started out, in band. That was my biggest thing. I think music was my first love. So I was really big into jazz, like Miles Davis, Coltrane. I listened to a lot of blues, B.B. King, Johnny Taylor, all kind of stuff when I was coming up. I kind of had an old soul for a young kid, which kind of helped me into, putting music together and writing, composing, and producing and all that stuff like that, man. So that's kind of been my background, man.
Amazing. So you've been inspired by many great artists along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's been a great, for me, man, music, I think it's kind of like just walking and having your own soundtrack, and whatever mood you're in, you can just kind of have that in your head. And it people use music to work out to, to cook to get dressed to. I mean, music is just kind of like that universal situation,
It's a game changer as well. It can change your mood if you're having a bit of a downtime. You can put on some music, uplifts you. For me, music is the sound of emotions. That's my little.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the sound, it's the sound when you hear someone who's made a record when they're feeling great and they're uplifting, and you'll see other people if they made a record when they're a bit more mellow or relaxed or chill out or whatever. So it's great. But music is it's definitely something that touches us all in one way or another, I'd say.
Absolutely. I agree 100%, man. 100%.
That's it. And that's why we're here. So Gav's just saying hi to us. There we go, Gav. Thanks very much, mate. It's good to have you here. So that's fantastic. So for the straight talking interviewers, straight talking audience, people here in the UK, we don't know a huge amount about the NFL. We kind of watch it from afar.
Right.
Why don't you tell us a bit about your journey? And obviously, like what was in the intro, tell us a bit more about your journey through the NFL and how that sort of came about.
Okay, well, for me, I'm a veteran of 3 different leagues. So I played a number of years in the NFL, and I played a number of years in the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League. And then I finished my career out in the IFL, which is the Indoor Football League. So I got an opportunity to be around a lot of different aspects of the game, a lot of different rule changes, a lot of different teammates, coaches, and just a lot of different organizations all together. So for me, I think my journey was one that was out of the box, and you'll get a chance to kind of get a feel for me. And I'm always been an out of the box kind of guy, but I made it to the NFL without a senior season of college ball, which is pretty much unheard of, with the odds of making it to the NFL and those types of things, because less than 1% of all athletes across the world make it to the NFL. And I just happened to do it, from the trunk of my car, just being me, just not taking no for an answer, understanding that odds they mean nothing to me, those types of things, man, and just persevering through a lot of things, but chasing scouts and just making them respect me and what I brought to the table. And I got that opportunity to be in Atlanta. I got an opportunity to be in Kansas City with the Chiefs. I was in Jacksonville with the Jaguars for a quick cup of coffee. And then I was with the Houston Texans for a number of years. And then I played up in Canada, with the Calgary Stampeders. And I played with the Edmonton Eskimos as well as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Man, it's been a ride. Like I say, it's been eight different organizations, but it's been a ride, and it's been something that has helped refine me, as a businessman, as a professional athlete, as a person in general, because I had to learn how to deal with so many different people, so many different mindsets, and it really helped me on this mission that I'm on right now with my developmental league, and then the GM push that I have going on for the NFL right now. I think it's made me one of the more vibrant candidates that they have, because of what I've had to endure and had to go through over these years, man.
So what sort of age were you when because you had that mindset of like, I'm not going to be beaten. You mentioned out of the trunk of your car and traveling around and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you must have been a young guy then, right? I mean,
Yeah, I was around 21. Yeah. I was a young pup, and that was kind of my deal, just making it happen, man. And I knew that, from the guys that I played against, I had a lot of success, and I think I played against 10 or so guys that went first through fourth round. So I knew I was supposed to be in the NFL, but I just had to take another route, and I think with that, it really helped me be able to edify my situation when I talk to athletes and talk to different people about how they can make it, because I did it, and it's one of the things when the odds against you, and to be able to do that, it takes a special person. So, for me, man, that was something God gave me. I've been blessed. And then from there, man, I just made it happen. So we're just trying to take it to the next level this next time around.
So, yeah, obviously, you've had an interesting career there. You've lived a young man's dream in many ways, right. Actually playing a sport at a young age. I was rubbish at football. You'd call it soccer, but I was rubbish. Right. I tried my hardest, but I wasn't great. And so that's probably how I ended up getting into music, because music was a close run thing. It was like football and music. And I wasn't quite fit enough or fast enough, and I had glasses and all, so that wasn't going to happen. But actually, got into music, and that was my sort of young man's dream for 20 odd years. Right. But so you've done some amazing stuff. What position were you on the field, just out of interest as well? Because I did read that somewhere, but I'm not a guru in American football. So what was the? Got
you. Well, I was an offensive lineman. I was an offensive tackle.
So you're in the scrimmage. You're in the line of scrimmage, and you're.
Yes, sir. I mean, you were getting contact whether you wanted it or not. It was one of those things where you're always going to get touched. And that was the deal. Your offensive linemen are your blue collar workers, your steel mill guys, the guys that just they go to work every day, and they don't get much praise. And that's just what it is. You got these guys working together as one, and they really set the tone for the entire team, because without them, you don't have anything. You can't do anything. So, I took pride in everything that I did in my work, and just that was my position, man, making it happen.
You're blocking the quarterback essentially, aren't you? You're making sure that
blocking for the quarterback to make sure that he stays upright and he can make the passes and all those things. Yeah,
I know a few things.
There you go. There you go.
I know a few things. So tell us a bit more about this journey that you've been on recently. So, obviously, I know you've been talking about or campaigning to try and become general manager of the Houston Texans, which didn't go, they didn't go your way for various reasons, and I'm sure we could touch on that as well. But this whole bigger piece for you is a mission, isn't it? It's a mission to get in there and actually make a difference in a team. But also as well, you've got like the if I explain to the English audience, the British audience, you've got the NFL, like the Premier League, and then you've got like the Championship here, or second or third or fourth divisions. You've got these divisions, and you've got this obviously State Developmental League. So why don't you give us a bit more background on that whole piece?
Well, for I think the GM push, I can start there. It was more or less a situation to get myself seen by these teams and these organizations, so I can put my body of work against the guys that have been in the NFL for a number of years. I had the opportunity to go and scout for all the teams that I played for. I was offered that. We want you to come in and we want you to work for us and we want you to be a scout and work your way up. But I looked at, what that looked like for someone like myself, as far as working my way up through the NFL, being there 20, 30 years, and then eventually having an opportunity to be a general manager. And none of those guys look like me, So I was like, well, I tell you what I'll do, because I've been a player and I understood that, and I saw how much of a generational gap it was, as well as those disconnects. I said, I'll start my own league, and everything that I saw in the NFL that didn't work, we're going to make sure that we incorporate the things that worked in our league. And we're going to focus on building these athletes because, playing ball and playing in the NFL is really it's the best temporary job you'll ever have. It's real quick, and it's a temporary situation. There's nothing where you're going to be, 40 and 50 years down the road and still playing ball, but you still got to live the rest of your life. So I looked at that and I understood that, and I wanted to make sure that these athletes and their families understood how to live life the right way, finances, insurance, being able to take care of their families and creating generational wealth, because every year there's going to be somebody younger and cheaper coming, from college. So that was my thing, just putting myself in front of these teams and showing them the value that I can bring to their organizations, because everything that the guys were doing for these particular teams, I've just been doing that from a private situation, in business and running my own league and dealing with the other leagues across the country and across the world. I'm just bringing that global aspect to it. And that's what I'm really looking at right now, is just showing that the value that I bring to an organization and checking all the boxes, whether it's from a philanthropic side, whether it's from a business schematic, as far as, me understanding the dynamics of marketing and promotions, all those different things, and putting teams together. I mean, I think you have a better chance of putting teams together with guys who've actually been on teams and understand the dynamic of what those athletes are thinking and how to be able to connect with them, because there's so much of a great divide, in the NFL from the upper management to the players. And I just wanted to come bridge that gap, and also bridge the gap between the actual team and the fans. And that led me to, really put my name out there and just say, hey, look, I'm here. I want to be a part of this thing, and I want to help you win these Super Bowls. And that's really what the talk is all about. And that just stemmed from my developmental football league and putting that together and just saying, hey, I want to be able to bring all these things to the table, man. So it's simple, man. We tend to make things hard, unfortunately, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Human beings make things difficult in general themselves, right? I know, but I've just written down three things here quickly that are just on my mind as you were going through that. Right. One, the Development League is a real support network, isn't it? You're supporting guys that potentially, they might make it into the NFL for a while, but they might not also. But you were telling me before about numbers. So like, for 400 that get in, there's a lot more that don't get in, and, refresh me for the numbers because I forget.
Right. So numbers wise, less than 1% of all athletes across the world make it to the NFL. So realistically, for the athletes that don't make it, we want to be able to service those athletes, because everybody can't go to the NFL, but everybody's going to have bills, babies, and problems. So we want to make sure that we are touching all of those sectors and making sure that everybody that has the opportunity to play in our league will understand business, will understand how to articulate themselves, will put themselves in a position to take care of their families from the grave. And that's not just the players, that's the family members, and even the fans can get in on, every aspect of what we do from a monetary standpoint. So profit sharing, ticket sales, all that. We wanted to make this a situation where, when people come to our games to get away from reality, they're going to be in a better position when they go back home. We want to make sure that that's the situation because, through all of my research, regarding how much it costs to go to certain games with NFL teams, it's a pretty penny, man. It's a really pretty penny to go to a game, and the revenue that's generated, a lot of times it just goes to the team, and I get it. The athletes are being paid well, but a lot of times they're not being paid what they're worth because you're bringing in a lot of money. You're bringing in a lot of revenue. So I just want to be able to expose and educate everybody on what goes on and how it goes on and how we can change it for the better to where everybody's benefiting from it and everybody's doing what they need to do.
So obviously not going to be with the Houston Texans next year for the time being, but and I know a bit about this. They were 4-12 this year, right? So that's not the greatest. That's not the greatest scores, right? Because that's 4 wins, 12 defeats, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Look, Jay, not just a pretty face, Garrick. Not just a.
There you go, man. I'm telling you, man. You telling me, man. You get it done. I love it.
But the whole thing about that's clearly not going to happen. But at the moment, you're lining yourself up. You're going to be talking to lots of other teams. You prepared to talk about which teams, or is that something you're just gonna do quietly under the radar and move forward? And
oh no, there are a ton of teams that need general manager help. They have a lot of vacancies right now, and I think with COVID and how that really reset everything, that really exposed people, in their practices, and if they're able to be leaders and pivot and all those things. So there's a number of teams that need help, and I've put my name in the hat with those teams as well, because everything that I talked about with the Texans, it transfers over to other teams. I mean, it's not hard. It's like being an athlete. If one team doesn't want you, there's 31 other teams, and you have to have that mindset. Would I have loved to be here with the Texans? Of course. Because they need help right now. They need a lot of help because they're not doing really well from a leadership standpoint in that front office right now. And the fans are feeling it. The former players are feeling it, and the current players are feeling it. And they got to put a lot of fires out right now. And I know for a fact if they would have brought me in, a lot of this wouldn't be going on. We'd have some answers, and it'd be clear and concise. And that's just the role of leadership. And the type of person that I am, I understand the dynamic of, what goes on from a business standpoint and what those players are thinking. And even now the fans, from this campaign. But no, definitely there's a number of teams. You got Jacksonville out there. Atlanta is in need. Detroit. The Broncos just filled their vacancy. Who else? You got a couple of other teams that have been looking, and I believe that they may try to make a move. But ultimately, our deal is try to just put it out there. And if somebody really likes what they see and they like the work that I've been able to put in over these last, 11, 12 months, let's go ahead and make some things happen. Let's go ahead and get these Super Bowls going, because that's the only talk that I'm worried about.
Well, that's where they need to be, right? I mean, it's like winning the Premier League or being in the top 4 of the Premier League.
Exactly.
The top 4 in the Premier League go into the European competitions, and they generally don't get a lot of grief to the manager, right? But anyone else is going below. If you've got a record of 4 wins at home and 12 defeats, you're not in the job very long here. It's a tough old business, listen, I know just from talking with you a few times, I know how much value you add already, and we're gonna come on to that in more detail. You were talking about the price of tickets as well. Yeah, I imagine it's not cheap to get to a game over there. It's the same here. You're doing a few £100. For a couple of adults and a kid, or a child or two, you're doing a good amount of money. And what I would say is that the players here are well looked after by the looks of it, certainly at the top level anyway. But I was talking to a friend of mine who was on Straight Talking a few weeks before Christmas, who's a ex-Premier League player, and he was just telling it. I mean, the story of just getting, you would call it just getting traded. It was just like, he scored a goal on the Saturday for one team, and then he's traded on the Tuesday, and he's in another team at the weekend. And for a young guy of like 20, 21 years of age, it just kind of like blew his mind. He was just like, just getting settled, and next thing boom, he's gone. And that's a lot for a young man to take. It's a lot for anyone to take, right? But it's a tough ask.
Yeah, it's very tough. And if you hadn't been exposed to it or educated on it beforehand, a lot of times trades are so hard, so devastating on guys that they don't really necessarily bounce back from those things
Yeah.
because it's business and you should never take it personal. But because you haven't been around it and understand that it is a business, you look at it as a personal aspect. I mean, I've been traded. I've been on teams where, I've been cut, all these different things. And people look at me and they say, man, if we could go through that, or how can you go through that? I mean, like, no, this is what it is. This is the nature of the beast, the nature of the game and the business itself. And that's across the board for all professional sports platforms, because there's always going to be somebody new coming in next year. So these players are commodities, according to what these teams say. But unfortunately, these guys have real problems. They have real families. They have real issues that they have to deal with, especially from a mental health standpoint, just communication, all those things. And those things should be addressed as well as the things that are on the field. And that's what I wanted to make sure that we provided with my developmental league. We wanted to touch on everything and make sure that everybody had an opportunity to be successful. And that's it, man. That's it.
I mean, Jason is my friend's name. He's the footballer that I was telling you about, and he basically likened himself to a piece of meat. Basically,
yeah.
He was literally just like out the door. And this is a team that he supported, my team, Chelsea, when he was like 10 years old.
Right.
By the time he's done all his early years, by the time he's 20, all of a sudden he's out the door and he's at one of our arch rivals. And it was, mental health comes into it, but also particularly for a young person, that emotional attachment.
Right.
If you emotional attack, when you say it's just business, we're a bit older and we know, it's just business. It's okay. Something else will happen, something different will go on. Right. But the point is that, when you're young, particularly when you're younger, unless someone's prepared you for that,
right,
that, unless your parents are very wise and very prepared to actually educate on something like that, to prepare you and harden you up to so much that you're okay about it. And you're like, well, okay, it's business, I can deal with it. But that doesn't really happen, they're not for many people anyway.
Right.
And that impact of mental health must be huge on those guys. But one of the things I think that really makes you stand out from anyone else, in your position and what you're doing over there at the moment, is the whole piece about how much you understand yourself. Mm-hmm. And you and I have been put together by Lewis Senior from Equilibria. So big up and big love to Lewis. He's a top fella, as you well know. Right. Also the author of a fantastic book called At the End of the Day. But you went through the EColors system and a workshop and kind of, it sort of opened your eyes, I'm assuming. So why don't you tell us a bit more about that and how you got to understand yourself more, and then, how you've used the tools and what you've done going forward.
Well, I had the opportunity to meet Lewis Senior and his group during Super Bowl here in Houston. They were facilitating all of the volunteers, and it's just a massive amount of people. And we basically sat down and they explained the program for me in regards to, personality traits and characteristics and all those different things. And as he was explaining how they were doing it, with the Super Bowl committees and those things with the volunteers, how it actually makes you think of things more intentionally when it comes down to communication and just dealing with other people, to keep you safe. And as he was talking, I was thinking, all the training camps that I've been through, all of the football practices and all of the teamwork exercises and all those different things, it kind of struck a chord with me, because when you go into training camp, once you get there, you're going to get a helmet and the rest of your equipment, and they're going to give you a piece of tape that they're going to put on your helmet, and it'll have your last name. And you're going to have a coach that's going to coach every last one of you the same way. And that doesn't work when it comes down to everybody having an opportunity to be successful. So as Lewis was explaining it, I already knew what I wanted to do with it, because I wanted coaches and I wanted, myself, and I wanted, upper management and everybody with our league to have a better understanding of communicating with other people. And when it came down to the EColors, understanding, what your colors were and what other people's colors were, it made you think about things and be more intentional. So like with myself, I'm red over yellow, and that's more or less, I'm a socializing doer. Right.
You're yellow red, right?
Yeah. So I'm a socializing doer, and more or less for me, you give me 2 or 3 words and I'm off to the races, as opposed to somebody else that might be on their field with me. That coach is going to have to give them more information and be a little more gentler, in his approach or whatever the situation is, to give them the opportunity to be successful. And that's what I thought about when it came down to, my colors and all the different personalities that are on teams. And then, just looking at how you can structure your business, how you can set up different groups of people in order to get the best out of them and facilitate the changes needed. And those are the type of principles that, with the EColors program and what Lewis Sr. and those guys are doing, I was like, this is a no-brainer, for me to try to get this into the NFL and me to put this into my league and have the stats behind it and the analytics behind it and be able to do some things that are innovating. And that's basically what that situation was, man. So we just been working ever since then. It's been a number of years since we first met, but man, we've been joined at the hip ever since then, man.
Yeah, because we're all yellow reds, you, me, and Lewis, and many of the other people that I meet. Actually, it's like a little network, But then there's the other EColors. It's incredible, and it's such a wonderful tool.
Right.
You can really understand yourself so much better. When I read it, I was actually, I was an out of work DJ. No money, no gigs, living at home, bankrupt, in my mum's spare room going, what the hell just happened after 20 years as a DJ and a record producer. And then I did the EColors, and it just suddenly explained everything to me, everything that I'd done in the last 20 years. And I went, oh, right, okay. Right. It showed me some potential limiters and some coaching opportunities and some things that I could do in order to change myself a bit better and get myself up, basically dust myself off and go again. And I'm forever grateful to Lewis for that. And it's been a fantastic journey. But as far as the EColors, the whole kind of workship and courses and everything, why would the EColors, in your opinion, EColors, and also, Life Remixed, of course, you're going to give me a nice endorsement and I know.
Absolutely.
But the EColors and Life Remixed, etc. Why would that work? Why would that impact people? In the NFL and out of interest as well. In the Premier League, because I know you watch a bit of English soccer.
Right.
So what sort of things do you think that would bring into? I suppose you've already explained it in some ways about the colours and the team and everything else. But do you think that have you seen it in the development league? Have you already seen it? Where people can actually connect better and understand each other better, and then work together better and or also more successful? Are you seeing all of that?
Oh, absolutely. It touches on the space of team efficiency.
Yeah.
It streamlines the communication aspect of learning people. Being able to bring somebody in after they've, taken their personality indicator test and done the survey, and I don't necessarily know them, but I know their colors when they walk in the room. It gives me the opportunity to understand what they need from me from a communication standpoint, so I can get more out of that communication, everything that we're doing out of that conversation. And the same thing on the field. And that's what we've been just implementing, all the guys that we deal with, whether we're actually having physical games or we're doing our off the field things. Once we get those, when we get the colors back and we understand what's going on, the more and more we get into it, it makes it easier for us to communicate with each other. And especially like the younger generation, like for myself, I was in between that realm, especially when it came down to American football. You would practice and it would be full go, you full pads, and it would be rough. I mean, going through training camp and you're 25 days and it's 2-a-days, and it's tearing your body down, as opposed to now they don't go as hard, but because you have the aspect of the EColors, you know how to communicate with each other and not necessarily rub somebody the wrong way. And it just streamlines everything, man. It's all about team efficiency and doing the right things and understanding what's going on with people. And that's what the program brings.
Are the guys wearing the colors actually on their helmets? Are they wearing them? Are they displaying them? I mean, how do you do that?
Yes, we've done it with small patches that would go on the helmets, where if you see, like, say for instance, the athletes are running up and you're able to see what that is as you're going to correct that particular player, you would see that color and it would automatically make you be more intentional about what you're going to say. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to how it used to be, where all you saw was their first name or their last name on a piece of tape. And it gives everybody the opportunity to slow down in that split second and understand, you can press your pause button and, okay, this is what I need to say instead of what I was going to say. And it's all about learning each other's languages.
That's right. Yeah, the pause and play buttons that they champion is really, really good. Yeah. And knowing when to pause or knowing when to play in certain areas. So you and I are both top color yellows. So, if you were coming at me full pelt, I'll be honest with you, I'll get out of the way. But if we're both top color yellows, we both know that we are quite happy to chat clearly and socialize and actually have some kind of like rapport in that area. And we're very interested in the who, we're interested in the people, and we cover all of that probably before we get into any kind of detail or any kind of chat about anything that we're actually going to achieve. Whereas a top color green wants to know every little piece of detail,
every aspect of what's going on. They need to know everything, and they're going to be more, intentional about trying to figure out exactly what's going on before they move. So,
That's right.
With us, we have to be more patient.
Yes, and my wife, my wife is top color green, which is why I'm always like,
okay,
I'm always checking myself and like, okay, yeah,
right.
How am I handling each situation? Because I think it's important, So I've got this little quote for you, and I thought I'd read it to you. I would like to see what you think about it. If there's one secret in leading yourself and other people, it is to generate an atmosphere in which others feel at ease and appreciated.
That's a 100% true statement.
What do you reckon about that?
You get the best out of people when they are comfortable enough to understand that you trust them. You trust that they're going to make the right decisions. And that's only after you give them a clear and concise direction of what needs to happen. And in leadership, that's it. You want to be able to have people in positions that you delegated, that they can be the best version of themselves. And you don't have to look over their shoulders, and it's not a micromanaged type of situation. And we get to the macro later.
You can count on them, and if you can understand their communication styles. Look, my friend Matt, good friend of mine here, says it's this understanding that makes effective man management in both sports and business, and great insight. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's really important to understand the individual. I use Emma again. Emma, I used to find Emma very, very slow. It was kind of everything was so thought through.
Right.
And I'd be yellow, getting frustrated a bit, and go, come on. And then when she did the EColors, I asked her, and it just all fitted into place. And I went, see. And what it made me do, it didn't make me. I chose just to appreciate that difference.
Right.
And as soon as I chose to appreciate that difference, then I could go, okay, this is amazing. Let's go with it. And it is about appreciating each other's differences and skills. The whole thing is realizing potential, isn't it?
Right.
And that's what your development league is about, right? I mean, your development league is realizing potential, even for those guys that maybe don't make it to the NFL. You're still there for them, and able to like give them some kind of feedback. Or I love what you said about generational wealth, by the way. I'm also a business and wealth coach with a friend of mine called Kevin Green, who's a fantastic guy here in the UK. And he, it's one of his biggest things, generational wealth. It doesn't all have to be about you right here, right now. It's about actually planning ahead and making sure that the next generation, I'm making sure that my niece and nephew are going to be secure. They'll be in a great place because of all the work that me and Emma do. And at the end of the day, if you can help educate people with that in the States, give them opportunities, because they could possibly earn quite a bit of money quite quickly.
Right.
It's about educating them how to handle that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's what it's about. Like I said, the NFL is the best temporary job you ever have. It's quick. So you'll be a former player far longer than you'll be a current player. And I have yet to see somebody leave the NFL when they were ready. And normally guys would want to play as long as they possibly could, but no, it doesn't work like that. So as soon as you sign that contract, you're on your way out the door. So you have to be ready and to have these athletes and get them to a point to where you're taking them from one space where they don't really know much other than just playing the game to a space where now they're making investments and they are doing different things in insurance. They have different things going on from a financial standpoint. They're entrepreneurs. They're working on their brands. They're setting up their families, well for when they're not here anymore. That's the space and then that for me is success when it comes down to our league, because I already know the odds are against them making it to the NFL. So what we want to do is the guys that can make it, okay, they're gonna have that opportunity and they'll be ready for that opportunity. But the rest of the guys that don't, we want to be able to set them up and put them in a position to win for life and make sure that they're doing what they need to do, because that right there is more gratifying for me than anything else.
It's a noble pursuit, I would say. And I think that's a really positive thing, because obviously you've been through that experience. I mean, in some ways I could liken it to Life Remixed. At the end of the day, I've been through this whole experience and had some really bad times.
Right.
Some of it self-inflicted, but much of it not. Much of it stress-related and diseasing my body and everything else. But now I can share this book and say, look, guys, there's more to life than just doing all those things that you think are fun. Is actually, let's look at the whole picture. Enjoy yourself, of course. Don't take away the fun, but at the same time, make sure that you can actually do something positive in the world, so that you use your time here wisely, right? So, I love this one. This is a good one, because football, whatever you call it soccer in the UK, you call it football in the States. I mean, any of these kind of big sports, we're missing the crowds, obviously. We have crowds or anything like that. The crowd, you watch it with the sound, you watch it with the sort of muffled crowd sound that they put behind it and everything. But it's the crowd that uplifts you, isn't it? It's the crowd. When you're out there, you must have been out there in front of I don't know, 100,000 fans or whatever, on some NFL pitches. I mean,
right.
What sort of? I mean, I know what it's like to play records to a couple of thousand people and be like, yeah, it's great, right?
right.
I stood on the pitch in front of screaming 100,000 or however many thousand screaming fans. How is that?
I mean, it's something that it's hard to put that in words. It's something that's surreal, It's something that once you've gone out in front of 98 to 100,000, fans, and had to perform under that type of pressure and that duress, it's something that's amazing. It's hard to put that into a bottle or put that on the paper and somebody get it. It's kind of like, taking a picture of a beautiful landscape. If you're not really seeing it with your eyes, the pictures do it no justice. So to be in that type of environment and be able to perform and perform with your teammates is something that, it's something that's unreal. And the energy from the crowd is something like no other as well. It kind of takes your game to the next level, from the adrenaline to the pure emotion of it, all those things, man. And it's something that a lot of people don't get a chance to partake in, but man, it's something amazing.
Yeah, I can very much relate on a much smaller level, but I can very much relate with music and people do say to me, do you not miss like DJing and music and stuff like that? And I'm kind of like, because I'm finding other ways to express myself and become a speaker and help other people and stand on stages and that kind of stuff. And so, music is still part of my life, and I still do a little DJ set on a Saturday night and get 300 people listening. It's great fun, right? But the point is, no, I don't miss it, but I'm really grateful for the experience. Let's put it that way, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's how it works. You get to a point where after you're done, you miss certain aspects of it, and being in front of those crowds is really one of them that I miss. And then the camaraderie of the locker room and the guys in the locker room and just being around the teammates and everybody being on one accord, man. So I get that completely.
So let's talk about your favorite television series here in set here in the UK. What's your favorite? You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about your favorite sports documentary here in the UK?
Man, I fell in love with Sunderland till I die, man. I love it. I love the behind the scenes aspect of it. I love that, it spoke to me in regards to what I want for my developmental league. Of course, the general manager aspect of it, that was when I really, really was looking into getting into it and doing my league and things like that. But anything that breaks down just the dynamic of everything that goes on in the organization, really catches my attention nowadays. And man, that did it for me, man. I was hooked. I was like, I got to get there, so I can go just experience that level of passion from the fans, because I desperately want that type of passion for my developmental football league here, and that closeness and just that, I think that loyalty to the particular brand and the teams and the people, and that, man, that's something I fell in love with, man. I got to figure out how to do that here, man. We got to have it.
Sunderland Till I Die was fantastic, and my dad died when I was 18, but his passion was Sunderland AFC, and he was born up that way. And so just to even hear you say the words in your accent, it's just great. Brilliant. I'm sure he's loving it. But it's super cool, mate. And I'll be honest, when you come over to London, when we can eventually start to travel again, when you come over to London, I will not be taking you to Sunderland because it's really far away. But I promise to take you to a Chelsea Premier League game, mate. And
let's make it happen, man. I can't wait, man. I'm excited.
If we can find, so am I, mate. If we can find a cup game, which is Chelsea versus Sunderland, then that would just top it off. So.
That'll be it, man. That'll be icing on the cake, man.
So there's a question here from someone called Emma Wilkinson. I don't know who that may be, but you can see that, right? Okay, so who is the sports icon that influenced Garrick the most? And is it not terrifying playing NFL? What a great question. Yeah, okay. Two parts to that one, mate, but go for it.
I think for me, the most influential person that played in the NFL for myself was probably Bo Jackson. When I was young, we used to have these book fairs that came to our schools, and we would be able to buy the different books. And I ended up buying a paperback copy of a book dealing with Bo Jackson. So it was talking about him playing Major League Baseball and also being a football player, and playing in the National Football League. And it's just something that just resonated with me, of how athletic he was and how gifted he was, and being able to play two sports and just the different things that he did. And he had a workout routine in the back of the book. And I couldn't have been any more than 10, maybe 11. And I remember getting the book. I took the book home. I read the book. And at the end of it, he had his workout routine. And I remember writing everything down. And then I just started working out and doing the Bo Jackson routine out the back of the book, man. So it was pretty cool. The second part to the question, as far as being terrified, not so much terrified. When you've trained you pretty much your entire life for something, it's kind of like, just a second nature. Of course, the game is a bit faster. Well, I'll say a lot faster than the college game. But once you get there and you get used to it and get acclimated, it's not too bad. Normally when you're terrified or there's pressure, it's because you didn't prepare for the game. But, it was plenty of preparation for what we were doing. So I think I did okay.
That's very true, mate. It's very true. And, you've still got all those old pads on and you're all protected. I'm joking.
Right.
That's what the rugby players would say here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They're always saying, they've got all the padding on and that. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys hit hard, don't you? I mean, you're special.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's grown men out there. I promise you that.
Oh, yeah. And many of you are not small chaps. When you're in that line of scrimmage and that, you're big guys, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So,
go on.
I was saying, when I played, I think the heaviest I was 325. So I was around 6'6", 325. So yeah, no, it's pretty big guys out there.
That's big. Because I was trying to work out, because we don't do really pounds or anything over here.
Right.
I looked it up because I thought you might reference it. So I looked it up for myself. So I'm 6'4".
Okay.
And 245 pounds.
Okay.
I'd get knocked over in a flat. I'd be down. I'm not protecting any quarterbacks, mate. I'm like, boom, I'm done.
Yeah, you probably would be a tight end here, so you would block and they would throw passes to you too. So.
All right, okay. I'm going to look up being a tight end. I think I might have missed my opportunity in life. I'll be honest, I might have missed my sports opportunity, but at the end of the day, mate, you got to have a go, right? But
there you go.
I'll tell you something that was really interesting that just sparked in my brain there as well was what did you make of the Michael Jordan Netflix documentary, The Last Dance? Have you watched that?
I have, man. It was very good. It was very informative. To have a look into the life of one of the icons in sports and to just kind of see their mindset and those different things like that. There's a reason why athletes are paid to be the best. And there's a reason why a lot of athletes are like considered the greatest of all time. And that difference in attitude and how you carry yourself and what you do on a daily basis, it may be small, it may be minute, but it's the difference between playing 3 years and playing 13 years. And Mike had it, man. Mike had it from an early age. And there's very few people out of the guys that do make it that do have that. And they just have that will to win, just have that desire to be the best, and are going to go and do what they need to do in order to fulfill that need. And he was one of those guys, man. Mike was Mike, man. He's the man.
Very single-minded and very talented. Oh, yeah. But just watching the whole documentary and the whole piece about, I love psychology. I love people. I love understanding myself. I love understanding you and my wife and Lewis and I love understanding the world. Right. And one of the things I would say is that I loved watching that documentary. And there was Scottie Pippen, obviously, was one of the best players in the league, but it was like second fiddle to Jordan, to Michael Jordan, pretty much the whole way through. It was just the psychology of the whole thing was amazing. And there was a few people saying that Jordan was like almost like bullying in some ways, and I was like, well, he's the guy's a winner. I mean, it's really interesting. I'd love to know his EColors, but that's for another day. I'll reach out to Michael Jordan.
Right. You would give him a call and see if he'll do the same. Right.
So listen, here's our great mentor here. Lewis has popped up. He said, "Great to see us both on Straight Talk." He says he wants to hear your perspective on diversity and inclusion. And the webinars that you co-hosted. Tell us a bit more about those, man.
So my thought process in regards to diversity and inclusion are vast. I mean, I'm very broad with it because of the teamwork aspect, that I've come up in as far as me playing football and being on teams my entire life. So I have friends, I have teammates. Everybody looks different in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So that I was always diverse for myself. I always had a diverse type of background. But once we, got to a point where, you're dealing with other people who may have not, dealt in that space or just, lived in that space, you have a lot of differences of people, whether it be, where they grew up, how they were raised, all these different things that, kind of contribute to biases that they have when it comes down to just different races, different creeds, different colors, different just people from different regions. And those are some of the things that, I wanted to really get into as I begin trying to understand people, kind of like you say, you want to have a better understanding of learning of people. And that really, for me, was big in regards to the workshops that, myself and Miss Lynn Kashmerick put on from Equilibrium Sports. And I was representing the Huddle Up Foundation of Houston. That was really big for me because I wanted people to be able to associate themselves with me and understand where I was coming from and vice versa. So, just because I'm 6'6", 330 pounds, I'm not necessarily somebody that's a threat to you. But unfortunately, looks can be deceiving. And those types of things. So that was the premise of everything, just trying to get a better understanding of people, what they go through and being able to not only expose what we deal with on a daily basis, but also educate everybody on it. So we'd have a better understanding and be able to meet in the middle and make the team work, make the dream work. My thing has always been, diversity and inclusion can be the difference between winning and losing. You know, you have to be able to bring the right people into the room and get as many different outlooks as possible in order to make the best decisions. And I live by that. I'm very firm with that. And it's been a dream come true to be able to conduct these webinars and just meet so many different people who went from perfect strangers to, you know, family members now. And that's a wonderful deal.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we one of my companies is called Hillmont Associates. And we do a lot of construction work and stuff here in the UK. We've got multiple companies, as I've shared with you before.
Right.
One of them, we're having an EColors awareness / training / bonding session on Friday here. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be like 12 of us on the call. We're all going to be in this together. It's going to bring us closer together. Lewis has coached me and Emma through the whole EColors piece. And you know, the more diversity in the team, it doesn't. What we look like to me is irrelevant. For me, it's about the actual look of the disc. You know, what we've got here. You know, what's Equilibria. Going to bring to us that's going to show us, well, okay, so we've maybe got a lot of yellows and a lot of socializers, clearly, because they're going to come and be attracted to me. But we make sure we got a really good balance across the piece. So it's going to be fascinating for us all to team up together. And look at that, my wife's agreeing. Lots of questions. She's got loads of questions for you, mate. Garrick is super cool. Yes, I told you he's the coolest dude in the room. And he likes Sunderland. I mean, come on. I'd also like to what's motivational books he's into and who he follows for inspiration. Do you know what's going to really wind her up about that? Is that she hasn't spelt motivational right, and she's going to be fuming.
And you brought it to her attention.
It's funny. That's funny. I love it. I love the fact she's coming in. But look, what sort of motivational stuff do you do? You know, obviously, I mean, you're in amongst this. You know, you've got guys around you all the time, so you must be motivating people. You're gonna, when you land a GM job, you're gonna look into that. You're gonna be motivating people. You know, who inspires you? You know.
For me, man, I find motivation in just people that I'm around, and how I do that is really simple. I kind of study people. And I look at, as we talk and as I get a chance to get to know them, some of the hardships that they may have overcame. And from there, looking at the direction that they may be going, they may be stagnant, but the fact that they were able to make some type of adjustments and move forward at one point, that for me is inspiring. And then from there, what I try to do every day is I try to have a positive outlook. I try to find a positive in any situation. There are no losses, there are only lessons. And I had a conversation about that last night in a group I was talking to. Kind of goes, anything that you go through in life, I consider that your seasoning. Like if you're cooking, the more things you go through in life, that means that's more seasoning for your food. So, if the food is just completely bland, you really hadn't had to go through anything. No hardships or anything like that. But if your food's flavorful, you've been through some things. So it's more or less one of those deals where I try to find motivation in different things and being able to, set it up to where people can see it from a different perspective. And that's really my biggest thing, man. It's all about perspective. If you change your perspective, you can change your life. And once people really understand that, and you can look at a situation from 4 or 5 different angles, find the best angle that you can imagine or that you can find, and then run with that one, and it'll change your outcome altogether.
I feel like you should just drop the mic after that one, mate. What a great answer that was! Wow, God, I was transfixed. I was listening. Amazing.
Hey, so, man, I'm telling you, man. I if you listen to me long enough, I have you inspired, man.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I consider myself, becoming, the book is going to help. Life Remixed is going to help inspire people. It's going to help people get over addictions. It's going to help people understand that they can remix their life. They can change their life. That kind of stuff. But you're the living, breathing, evidence of it as well. I mean, as far as 2020 and 2021 goes. It's been a weird time. I didn't expect my 50th birthday in 2020 to be me, just with my very close relatives. I was expecting, I'm yellow, I was expecting a huge party,
exactly.
And there was none of that happening. But for you, any tough times? I mean, obviously, I see you in interviews left, right, and centre, which I love, by the way. And every time you pop up, I'm like, I've got to listen to Gary and see what's going on. So, you're talking to the media a lot, clearly. But you must have had to change tact a lot, as in, campaigning and that kind of stuff. It's all gone online, I guess.
Yeah. This time has been really rough for everybody. And one of the things that I chose to do was I chose to really focus on myself in regards to utilizing my time the best that I could possibly do. So that meant, finishing degrees. That meant, getting certifications, taking all kind of courses the entire time, we were locked down. That way I would be able to check boxes for a general manager position or just anything else in life that popped up. And that was one of my things, just trying to be a sponge. I would say in regards to tough times, you have to look at the aspect of, having children and them having to have virtual school. So they no longer are able to be with their friends and things that once was normal for them. They don't have it anymore. Like my oldest son, he was taking it real hard because he wasn't able to play football. And he is one of those types of kids where, he needs to be around his friends. He needs to have them in the mix some way, shape, form, or fashion. Oh, yeah. He's a lot like I was back in the day at his age. I was really quiet. I'm still quiet, but we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, watching them having to navigate this whole situation right now that's probably been the roughest time, because you want to be a beacon of light for them. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, as far as talking to different people and just showing them that they can do these things while, these pandemics or whatever else is going on. It could be economic downturns, everything, because I want this to be a blueprint for them. Long after I'm gone, I want them to be able to say, hey, listen, this is what you can do while certain things are going on, and watch what your grandfather did, or watch what your great grandfather did, and those types of things. So, that's my contribution, just trying to make sure that they understand that they can make it through, and times won't be tough all the time. So
tough times don't last.
Nah,
tough people do.
Tough people do. There you go.
That's it. I mean, when you get through a crisis, I think when you face that, I've faced a couple of personal crises. You obviously had, some ups and downs along the way, but actually like coming through it, and actually realizing that it's almost like a part of it. We fail our way to success half the time. If, like you said, if you haven't had that rich kind of life, then you've got nothing to talk about. You've got nothing to share. It's very bland, and right. The day. It's an adventure, isn't it? Life. It's just let's have an adventure. At the moment, it's an online adventure.
Right.
It's still an adventure, right? So, I mean, look, we're going to get near, because we've been on for nearly an hour, mate. And honestly, I could talk with you all night, but let's a couple of things just to finish off. So, I always like to ask people this, and to be fair, you've covered many sort of strategies and things like that. But, the best advice that you can offer someone who's looking to remix and improve their life, is there one sort of nugget that just, that you would nail on?
I would say go with your gut. 9 times out of 10, if you have a feeling inside of you, about a certain situation or making a move, take the first step. And then from there, take another step, and just concentrate on taking one step at a time, and just get 1% better every day, and it makes it a lot easier, because by the time you raise up, by the time you raise up and look and see where you are, 9 times out of 10, you have met that goal, and you've gone on to a new one. Yeah. If you just be intentional about everything you do each and every day, you got to eat an elephant a bite at a time. You can't eat them all at once. So
that's true. Yeah, just continuous improvement. Or continual improvement. Continual improvement. And I would certainly say with using the EColors tool, as we both have, that self-awareness as well. You have a self-awareness about yourself and your own personality, diversity, where you can actually start to understand yourself and other people, like we've said. It can, it's life changing. Ultimately, it was a life changing moment for me. Certainly, when I did my EColors, and I'm very happy to be connected to Lewis and you and the whole network. And it's going to be 2021 is going to be great, and it will slowly recover, and 2022 will be even better, and we'll just keep the next decade could be our best, couldn't it? So I think that's what we've got to go for. So where can people find you, and websites and social media? Clearly you've got your own hashtag, mate, which is
that's pretty much it, man. Just the hashtag GJ for GM. Search that out, and that'll pretty much pull up everything. My Instagram is officially Garrick Jones. My LinkedIn and my Twitter are Commissioner GJ. And I mean, I'm active, man. You'll be able to find me. I promise you. I'm not hard to find.
You ain't hiding.
Nah, at all. You
ain't hiding anywhere, mate. No, and me neither, to be honest. I think as you get older and you become a more confident individual, you're gonna realize that you've got more to offer to the world than just sort of sitting at home watching TV of an evening. You do more. We've all got the same amount of hours in the day. We sleep for 7 or 8 or however many it is, and the rest of the time we've got to be up. And for me, I mean, that I've just sent you a copy of the book to have a read over the weekend. For me, that sense of purpose, if you've got a sense of purpose, and you said very much about how you working there and your children are giving you a purpose and getting you moving. I think once you've got a sense of purpose, I created my own one, and you'll read it in the book, but creating my own purpose actually uplifted me, and means now that I'm out of bed and I'm like, come on, let's
there you go.
Another day, another day, chance, another opportunity to be grateful, to be happy, and actually add some value to people's lives, which Garrick Jones, you certainly have added a lot of value to everyone's life here tonight, mate. Like I said, I'm so grateful for you taking some time out of your busy schedule to actually bond with us and be a part of Straight Talking. I cannot wait to host you in London. I can't wait to see your face when you're in Chelsea's football game in Stamford Bridge, okay? And some of the songs that get sung and some of the atmosphere that goes on.
I'm ready. You hear me? I'm ready.
I can't wait, mate. And obviously, I'm looking forward to one day coming back to America and us working together and doing stuff. I mean, who knows what the future holds, Garrick? Who knows?
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving me time in this space with you, man, and just giving me this platform to ramble a little bit. Man, I'm here, man. Let's make some history, Doc.
You're an absolute gentleman, mate. Thank you all so much. And thanks, everyone, for the questions and listening as well. Really, really appreciate it. Big love from Garrick and I. Thank you.